Hello there. Welcome and thank you for coming. I'll be running through the presentation with you today. My name is Rowan and I work for the Fulbright Commission doing communications and marketing. We also have Paula Melvin, who is our awards manager. She'll be filled in some of the questions at the end. We have Sarah, who's going to be chatting to you in the chat. So if you have any questions throughout, feel free to pop them in there and Sarah will kind of curate those. And we also have Richard Butler, who'll be talking about his experience with Fulbright. He's a Fulbright alum and he's also working in Mary Immaculate College. Okay. So the Fulbright program was set up by William Fulbright and it started in 1946 and Ireland joined again in 57, and then the Irish Commission was set up in 91, and at present there's 180 countries that are interacting with the program. So Fulbright opportunities, who's it for? So the Fulbright awards are for students, scholars, artists, teachers, professionals from all disciplines, and we do mean that all disciplines, and it's to research, study and lecture in the USA, and it's for passionate and accomplished people, but it is for all disciplines. And what do the awards provide? So the Fulbright Awards, they provide a monetary grant, visa administration, accident and emergency insurance, cultural and professional programming, and ongoing support and links to a global network of Fulbright alum. And I think Richard will talk a bit more about that in his segment. So we do have a Fulbright Alumni Association. They're very active. So a lot of what you get out of Fulbright is kind of a lifelong connection with fellow Fulbrighters. Fulbright alum would say that when you say you are a Fulbrighter, that it opens a lot of doors. So that is one of the aspects to it. It's not just about, getting a monetary grant to go and study in the US. You are getting that cultural immersion, but you're also getting access to a network of Fulbrighters. Okay, and I've just talked about that a little bit in the last slide. So it is a lifetime connection. It's a global network. It's not just people in the US. There's Fulbrighters coming, as I said, from 180 countries. So you might go to a university in the US and there's going to be Fulbrighters from, let's say, Bulgaria or, other parts of the world, and you're getting a kind of cultural immersion from that as well. Okay, and Richard Butler will join us now to talk a little bit about his experience with the Fulbright program. So if you want to unmute there, Richard, I'll let you take away.
Hi, morning, everyone. That's an embarrassing photograph from times past. So morning, everyone at Mary I. I'm the Director of Research at Mary I, and I'm here this morning just to speak very briefly about the Fulbright program. I was a Fulbright student in America in 2014-15. I went over to Madison, Wisconsin, during my PhD. And I mean, I can't recommend it enough as an exchange opportunity. I think I benefited hugely from it. I'm still benefiting hugely from it, I feel. My own context is that I grew up in Cork and then I studied in England. And it was kind of about maybe a third of the way through my PhD, which was in Irish history, and it was kind of somewhere between Irish architectural history and Irish social history. And the problem I kind of faced was that at the university I was at in England, I had someone who was really good on architecture, but they didn't really know anything much about Ireland. So the idea was to take up the Fulbright to go to America to work with like a professor called James S. Donnelly Jr. And any of you who are historians will know Jim Donnelly is kind of one of the leading historians of 19th century Ireland. And he's retired now, but he kindly agreed to take me on as a kind of a visiting PhD student in semi-retirement in Madison in the Midwest in America. And I pretty much finished my PhD out there with him, and he's since been a huge help to me. He's written references for everything. I got to know him and his family very well. And I suppose, beyond the kind of academic side of things, I just had a really great year in America. I went out to, never been to Madison before, never been to the Midwest, and quickly kind of fell into, an amazing kind of huge university with loads of opportunities for things to do. So there was a big club there called Hoofers at the University of Wisconsin-Madison, which did like all outdoor sports. So it was like hiking, orienteering, canoeing, sailing, you name it. And really kind of most of my friends were made through the Hoofers organization in Madison. And I've been back to Madison, I'd say probably about once a year since, just to see friends. I mean, obviously COVID has stopped it for the moment, but it was a great thing. And I was kind of, I learned to sail on a lake out there in Madison. And it was great to meet kind of the other Fulbright people as well. Like there was about maybe 30 or 40 of us, I think, that year. Really people who applied for all kinds of things. As Rowan just said, I mean, every discipline. There were, of course, a significant bunch who were interested in the Irish language and were going out to learn or to teach the Irish language. I think I was the only historian that year who went out, but you find a real broad bunch of people. And also, as Rowan mentioned, I mean, there's a strong alumni organization in Ireland, and I was on the committee of that until recent times. And there's been loads of events. I've got to meet lots of interesting people at all kinds of talks and dinners and you name it, mostly in Dublin, I suppose, over the last few years. Not really sure what else to say about it, only that it was a hugely kind of beneficial thing for me. I think it was probably the best thing I did during my PhD. It was a great chance to just, learn more about America, spend time there, and those connections that you make between Ireland and the States, you do tend to keep them, forever. And the program does what it says it does. And maybe it's a bit hard at times to kind of really figure out what they mean by kind of partnerships between the two countries. But actually, when you do it, you really see kind of what that is. So like, I'll just finish by saying that there was a town near Madison, Wisconsin, which was called La Crosse. So any of you who play sports will know it from the connection with the sport. And La Crosse's twin town is my hometown, Bantry in Cork. So I ended up kind of making all kinds of connections with La Crosse. I was out there, I did a talk about the history of Bantry, for example. We had about a dozen people from La Crosse visited Bantry about 3 years ago. And that connection is still going. There was kind of there are ongoing exchanges between the two towns. And that's the kind of thing which I didn't actually even realize until I went out to America, that our Bantry's twin town was out in Wisconsin, about an hour and a half's drive from Madison. But it's been a kind of a great thing. And, loads of friends, lifelong friends, I hope, from my time there. So look, I'm very happy to answer any questions, practical or otherwise, but of course, I'm also, just keen to listen to the experts here this morning. So I'll stop there, Rowan, that's okay.
Perfect, Richard. Thanks a million for that. And you'll notice from most of what Richard talked about, he talked a little bit about the project he did, but it's mostly about that cultural immersion, what he got out of it, and interacting with groups there, lifelong friends. That's what we're looking at. It is a cultural immersion program. It's not just all academia. So I'll talk about that a little bit later, kind of the breakdown as well. Okay, so I'll just share my slides again. And Richard is happy to, I think, answer any questions for you guys as well from his personal experience. And also Vicky Brady sends her apologies that she can't be here today. She is the campus ambassador for Mary I. I think there's many alumni from Mary I, and absolutely all of them will be willing to talk to you, and so would we. So if you have any questions or anything, feel free to reach out to any of us. So on to establishing your eligibility. So to be eligible for a Fulbright Award, you need to be an Irish, is open to Irish and EU citizens, 3+ years residency. Now, and you must demonstrate a strong rationale for why you're going to the US. So in your application, things like, I need to go to this specific university because they have, let's say they have an expert in the field that that you think would be very helpful for your project or your research. Or, maybe if you're doing something in science, that they have this very specialized machine that you would be able to utilize while you're there. So things like that. So a strong rationale. So if you're going to, let's say, California or Las Vegas, don't say because you love gambling, you want to go to Las Vegas. It's have a good strong rationale, and you need to know it yourself to be able to describe it to the panel. You must comply with the 2-year home rule visa requirement. So this is sometimes, so let's say you want to use Fulbright as, you know, a stepping stone to just moving to the US after your degree, or after your project, that maybe the Fulbright program isn't what you're looking for. So once you've finished your Fulbright, you need to come back to Ireland for 2 years after that. So this is what the 2-year home rule is. But so at the moment, the EU qualifies for that, but we cannot guarantee that that is a long-term requirement, that will be allowed into the future. So okay, you can't be a dual US Irish citizen. So if you hold a US passport, you wouldn't be eligible for the Fulbright program. And you can't be living in the US at the time of the application. And this, you know, comes down to being the cultural immersion experience. You know, if you're already living in the US when you're applying, it's not really in the spirit of the program. So that's why that rule is there. And you can't have extensive experience of studying or living in the US. So we had someone in a previous talk ask us if, you know, they lived in the US for 4 years when they were you know, 6 years old or something, you know, a couple of years. And we were like, well, if you can't remember actually living in the US, then that's fine. That's kind of a rule of thumb with that. So you know, if it's recent extensive experience, that may disqualify you. But if it was when you were a child for a little while, not to worry about that as much. Okay, the application process. So this is just what a couple of people have said about the process. You've nothing to lose by applying. You know, the only thing it's going to take you is time. And we do say that even if you are unsuccessful with your application, many people reapply the following year and are successful. So if you have a look on our website, you can see some more details about the application process. I'm just going to go into some timelines now. Okay, so the application's open in August. So have a look at our website and follow us on social media to find out when everything is opening up. So we will be promoting them there, and the applications close in October. But just because the applications open in August doesn't mean you shouldn't be doing your research and preparing now. So have a look on our website and start, you know, after this presentation, maybe jot down some ideas, you know, mull over some things that you think might work. Maybe reach out to some professors, or, you know, talk to the campus ambassadors, talk to Richard, go, I have this idea, do you think this would work? Where do you think I should go? And then in November, December, this is the review process. So Paula and Sonia will be going around and matching the applications to experts in your field. So they're, you know, if you're applying from let's say Mary I, it's not going to be a Mary I lecturer or, you know, expert that's from, they're not going to know you essentially. And we do seek people internationally and through the Alumni Association to match your applications with, you know, real experts in your field. And then the interviews, they take place from January to February. So this again is, you know, quite a busy time for Paula. And then the offers are made in March. So the offers and rejections are made there. So right now, review the information on the website. Just these are just a couple of steps that you could take now. And then I'm going to go through the awards a bit later. So to choose which award maybe fits for you. And find a course, plan your research proposal, research what it means to be a Fulbrighter, and we'll talk about that in a little bit, and then register your interest. So once the application's open in August, you can register your interest, and we'll send you an application form, which you can start filling out. Okay, so the award categories. So you have the Irish Student Awards, which are managed by Paula, and this is for postgraduate research or postgraduate degree programs. So a lot of people will be maybe doing a part of their, let's say their PhD. They might go to the US for a section of their PhD in the US. And then the Irish Scholar Awards are generally for their academics or professionals with 5 years experience. So this is kind of post PhD, so you're doing or you're lecturing. The TECHIMPACT Awards, so this will be academic research or professional research, and it's with an ICT focus, and I'm going to go into these a little bit later. And then the Irish Foreign Language Teaching Assistantship Awards, so this is teaching Irish in the US, so I'm going to go into more detail on these later. And then the Schumann Awards, which are run by our colleagues in the Belgian office, and that's to study, research, or lecture in the US. Okay. So postgraduate students, so this is for the all discipline awards. This is kind of the overarching award we have, and this is for visiting researchers or degree-seeking students, and you must obtain an affiliation or apply for a degree course with a US institution. So, you know, maybe talk to your lecturers to figure out where would be appropriate for you to go. So we get a lot of people, you know, going to applying, you know, for maybe Ivy League institutions, but we also look for diversity of institution as well. So we, as Paul always mentions, she's never seen anyone go to North or South Dakota, and she'd love to see that. And so these are for a duration of 4 to 12 months. And the max award is €30,000, and this is tax-free, but 30,000 is the max. And it is, so let's say you were going to maybe New York, the cost of living is more expensive there, but you know, it is divvied out based on a number of different factors. So if you apply, don't just automatically assume that you're going to get €30,000. So the Irish Scholar Awards, you must, as I mentioned earlier, you must have a PhD or 5 years relevant professional experience. And this is to research or lecture in the US, and you must establish an affiliation with the US institution. And again, you know, talk to some of your mentors, talk to Richard, talk to Vicky about, you know, which institution, you know, do some research online. You may already have an idea of where you want to go. So these can be for slightly shorter periods. So they're from 3 to 12 months, and the max award is a little bit higher. It's at 35,000 for these Scholar Awards. And yeah, they tend to already have a PhD or experience. So the Tech Impact Awards, you must possess a PhD or 3 to 5 years relevant professional experience. Preference is given to early career researchers. So PhD conferred since 2019. And this is for non-commercial research exploring transformative power of ICT. And these are for a much shorter period than from 2 weeks to 3 months. And the max award for these is 11,000. And then this is Paula's expert area. So that the Irish FLTA Awards are to teach Irish or take classes at a designated US college. And this is up to, so it's a max of 10 months. And I think you're able to spend another 2 months as well in the US at the end of it. Yes, getting the thumbs up from Paula there. Awards will be matched with the US institution. So certain institute, let's say Notre Dame may want someone with a PhD. When they're teaching Irish, so we match you up with a specific institution. So if you're an Irish speaker and you have some teaching experience, then this may be a good one for you. Okay. And sponsored awards. These are not to be overlooked. So I mentioned the all discipline awards earlier, but don't overlook, you know, it can be easy to just go, oh, I'll just apply for the all disciplines. That's, you know, an easy match. So the sponsored awards, you just make sure to have a look at them, because there may be less people applying for these because people just jump in and go for the all disciplines. The sponsored awards can be in targeted areas such as creativity, environment, cybersecurity. You'll see a list on our website. And the specific criteria. So check out the flyers. There's much more detail about them on the website. We're not going to go into all the detail. I'll talk a bit more about them later. But I believe if you apply for a sponsored award, you're also eligible then for the all disciplines after that, I think, Paula, if that's accurate. Yeah, okay. Okay, so awards for students and scholars. So we have the Fulbright Enterprise Ireland Award in Innovation and Business, the EPA Award, which is Water, Climate, Sustainable Environment, and the Fulbright GSI Award, which is in Geoscience. And then for the student-only awards, we have the Fulbright-CREATIVE Ireland Museum Fellowship, and there's 3 of those. We'll talk about them a little bit later. The Fulbright LLM Awards in Law. So there's 3 fee waiver options in that, and I'll talk about that a little bit later. And then the Teagasc Award in Agriculture, Forestry, and Food. And so for our scholar-only awards, we have the HRB Health Impact Award is for health professionals, the NUI Scholar Award, so this is for NUI graduates, and then the Creative Ireland Fellowship, so this is for professionals. So if you are interested in that as well, we do have a talk, it will be on our website, talking more about the Creative Ireland Fellowship Awards. I believe that is early next month. So the Tech Impact Awards are for short-term research, and then there's another Tech Impact Cybersecurity Award at Boston College. And as I said, there's much more detail on the website about all of these. So your application requirements. So as part of your application, we'll be looking for some personal information and your CV. And we'll be looking for a personal statement / Fulbright statement. So this is very much about you. So we're looking to find out who you are. We all, we want to find out about your project. The academic part, needs to be strong. But Fulbrighters are, both strong academically, but they're also, leaders. They're also bringing something to maybe the place they're going, and they're going to bring something back. You're not just going to put your head down in the book for 12 months. You're going to be possibly interacting with groups there, and we want to know if do you play guitar? Do you play hurling? Do you play lacrosse? These are the type of things that you need to talk about in your personal statement. And I'll talk a bit more about the interviews later and what they're looking for. You also need 3 recommenders. So this would be people in your field who would write a short recommendation for you. And it will be good to get these as early as possible, because I know, people are busy. So start thinking about your recommenders and start annoying them for some recommendations good and early. You'll need transcript for the student application. You need a passport copy, and if you're going for, I believe it's actually 3 hard copies now, so samples of your work for an artist, and then a letter of affiliation, and this is for the researchers and scholars. Okay. Preparing for your application. So why is your work groundbreaking? You should be able to answer that. Why do you need to go to the USA? What are you going to bring back? What is the objective of your research? Have that very clear in your mind. You will be asked about it. And yeah, that's I can't reiterate how much a strong rationale for going to the US. I talked about it a little bit earlier, but do have a very strong rationale. Identify the specific areas that you will concentrate on. Explain the research question with objectives, methodology, and expected results. I'm sure you'll all do that anyway, but it's just to, maybe as you're doing your application, maybe reconsult these points here and just make sure that you're really getting into the nitty-gritty and you understand what you will be doing and what impact will this have on your discipline, research, and career. So yeah, so think a bit more about, what's it going to have an effect more broadly. Doing a Fulbright is obviously great for your career and for you personally, but what's it going to bring to your subject area or back to the university when you come back? What are you going to learn? What impact is it going to have on wider society? So your personal statement, as I talked about this earlier, this is about you. Tell us about you. Don't rehash your project. You are not your research. We want to hear about you. Who you are as a person. We want to, during the interview. I'll talk about it a little bit later because I know I have a slide coming up about it. But yeah, this is about you and what you can bring, who you are, and what does it mean to be a Fulbrighter. So have a dig around on the website, have a read of some of the bios, do a bit of research on some of the alumni, look at Richard's profile, think about what Richard talked about, all the things that he did there beyond his research. And yeah, as I said, don't rehash your CV. Your CV isn't you, so we want to hear about you. Okay, and yeah, so we welcome diversity in all regards. So we welcome candidates from underrepresented communities, areas of research, home organizations, and HEIs, geographical areas, ethnicity, and ability. So it's all about people, and you can find out more on our website about our diversity, equity, and inclusion work. Okay, so finding a host. This may be daunting to you, but it shouldn't be. Who do you want to work with? So research experts in your field. We welcome diversity wherever you go. As we mentioned earlier, there's certain places that are very popular and there's other places that people just, neglect to look at. So we would look favorably on applications that are going to somewhere that maybe doesn't have, historical links with Fulbright or with the Irish Fulbright Association. So reach out to Fulbright Ireland and US alum. Use existing Fulbright links, sponsors, ask your mentors. I'm sure Richard will give you loads of advice. Select a degree or choose a host institution. It should make sense to you first, yeah, as I said earlier. Okay, so the Fulbright Creative Ireland Museum Fellowships. And as I said, there will be a talk where we go into more detail on these early next month. So research opportunities are open to student category only. Apply to the Harry Ransom Center, the Exploratorium, or Smithsonian. Each award has specific eligibility criteria, so see our flyers, and you must seek a letter of support from the host and include that in your Fulbright application. So you will have to reach out to them beforehand and get them to support your application. I haven't been to any of these places. I would love to go, but Paula has mentioned the Smithsonian is huge, and they have a breadth of different areas you can research and work. So don't overlook the Creative Ireland Museum Fellowships. Okay, so the LLM Law Association Awards. These are full or partial tuition waivers available at the LLM in Indiana at the Maher School of Law, Notre Dame, and Penn LLM Award. So sometimes when Fulbrighters have been awarded, they'll reach out to and so the LLMs can be quite expensive. So when you do get, so we have these 3 relationships set up for fee waivers. There are other options. We don't have a full list of everyone that will do it. So it is kind of on a case by case basis. We can't fund as much as we would like, but if you're able to get a fee waiver from a different institution, that may also be an option. Okay, and other associated awards. So the Florida Poly-STEM Graduate Assistantship. This is for a master's degree or graduate assistantship in STEM programs. Includes a direct payment for services as teaching and/or research assistant and tuition support. And we also have the University of Southern California MSc or PhD programs. It's the MSc in engineering or computer science discipline, and there's a partial tuition waivers for MSc programs. And this is for engineering, computer science, PhD programs in a broad range of disciplines, and it's full financial support. Again, there'll be more information on our website about that. Okay, and as I talked about earlier, so the review period, so this will be experts in your field that are looking through your written application. So they'll be looking at your academic record and your project statement. And generally, people who are applying for Fulbright, they nail this part. Their project is strong academically, and we also look at, so this is basically the size of these bubbles will tell you what they're looking at most here. So your academic record and your project statement will be looked at, scrutinized quite strongly in the review process by experts in your field, and some on the cultural engagement and leadership. If you get past that phase, we go on to the interview, and I had the pleasure of kind of sitting in and observing some of these this year, and I was surprised. I've been told it's all about the cultural leadership and engagement on this. But yeah, almost the whole, they talked a little bit about the academic record and the project statement at the start. And then it was, who are you? Tell me about you. I need to know you. What's your personality? What are you going to do over there? It was all about that. Which was, it was very interesting to, and a lot of them were very strong on both. So don't underestimate how much the cultural leadership and engagement is a part of Fulbright. So it is a cultural engagement program. So talk briefly about the Schumann Awards. So this is run by our colleagues in the Belgium office, and this is a separate application that opens in December. But do talk to us before you apply for this. I'll let you research this a little bit more on our website. But yeah, make sure to contact us before you apply for this. And also with these awards, you can only apply for one Fulbright award in a specific given year. So don't apply for the Schumann and then 5 other ones with the same application. Okay. So I'll talk very briefly about the US award category. So this is bringing US colleagues to Ireland. So we have, the US Student Awards. So that's for postgraduate research and degree programs. And then there's a scholar program. So you can get an academic professional research or lecturing. The US Specialist Program, which is for bringing a specialist into your university. And this is an academic or professional for very short term. So let's say if there was like a mission critical project in the university, or you needed to get in an expert in a certain area. And then there's the Global Scholar Awards, and then again through the Fulbright-SCHUMAN Awards. Okay, institution. Yeah, to host a US specialist. Yeah, so I just briefly talked about that. So you apply directly to the commission. We have 5 per year to Ireland, and this is to address critical priorities. So let's say you wanted to get in, you know, someone who's an expert in X into your university for a short amount of time. You can apply directly to the commission for that. Okay, and this is just a list of awards for US students and scholars to study, research, or lecture in the US. So in October to December annually, each year, we reach out to HEI contacts to renew or set up new awards. So if you have an idea for a new award, do reach out to us. And yep, so that's pretty much wrapping that up. So I would say definitely next steps would be reach out to your recommenders, start annoying them, select your host institution. And, you know, I think that can sometimes be a little bit of a roadblock for people. So if you want to reach out to your lecturer, you know, ask them, oh, where would be maybe a good institution that's maybe relevant to my research, or, you know, they might know someone who's in this specific university somewhere in the US. Research the Fulbright ethos. So yeah, this is going back to your personal statements. We want to know who you are. Talk to a Fulbrighter. You see a full list of them on their website. They're friendly people, they're outgoing people, they're usually more than happy to help out. And, you know, after you've looked at on our website and you've annoyed the Fulbrighters and you've annoyed your recommender, you can come and chat. We're happy to talk to on the phone, on email. So do feel free to reach out to us, and you can see we are CC'd in that last email, and I will be sending out a link with this presentation and a recording of the video just after this. I think, Sarah, was there any questions to pop up? So if you do have any questions, now is your time, or forever hold your peace.
Yeah, we had a couple come in. I'll just read them out there, Paula, if you want to take those. We have one here. If you had chosen to study abroad in the US during your off-campus placement year, would this disqualify you? This would have been circa 2015 and for a single semester.
Not at all. It's more so that if you spent, say, for the past 5 years working or studying in the US, that you're disqualified.
Great. Then there's another one as regards to the lecture award, 3 to 12 months for a max of 35,000. Would there be scope to bring your family with you to the US, or is that a non-runner? It would be difficult to relocate to the US without family.
You're more than welcome to bring your family. Unfortunately, the Commission's budget does not extend to cover dependents, but if you can, I think it's a fantastic idea to bring your family, because that's really the cultural engagement. When I listen to scholars and students who brought their family to the United States, having their kids attend school in the United States really deepens that cultural engagement. So I'd well recommend it. But just to note, the FLTA awards, you're not actually allowed to bring dependents with you if you're undertaking an FLTA award.
I see another one just come in here. If you completed your master's degree lasting 1 year in the US, would this disqualify you from applying?
No, you wouldn't be disqualified. However, say if 2 candidates are scored nearly identically for the same award, perhaps preference be given for the person who has the less experience in the United States, but you are not disqualified and we welcome your application.
The chat's quiet at the moment here.
Cool. Did you get the one in? I know there's like a Q&A and the chat, or I think you may have already answered that one.
I believe that's been answered.
Okay, as well. Perfect. Yeah, so if there are no more questions, I'd just like to say thank you all for attending, and thank you, Richard, for taking the time out today, and Paula and Sarah. I really do appreciate it, and as I said, I will be sending on a link to all of you. So yeah, thank you, and we hope to be seeing many of your applications popping in once they open. And yeah, as I said, follow us on social media, check out the website, and yeah, I think we'll end it there. Thank you very much.